The worst fears were realized yesterday regarding Tyrese Haliburton. We all saw it, the torn Achilles, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, playing through a calf strain. It was confirmed as the torn Achilles we suspected it would be. The injury cut short one of the most remarkable individual playoff runs ever, one in which Haliburton hit a tying or winning shot in the final seconds in all 4 rounds of the playoffs, and his team won 15 games. Around 11 o'clock Eastern time last night, Tyrese Haliburton released this post. It is really interesting and emotional and honest, and I recommend you read all of it. The part of it that we picked out here is when he writes, "Honestly, right now, torn Achilles and all, I don't regret it. I would do it again and again after that to fight for this city and my brothers, for the chance to do something special. Indy, I'm sorry. If any fan base doesn't deserve this, it's y'all. But together, we are going to fight like hell to get back to this very spot and get over this hurdle." There's so many things about this that are interesting, but I want to start with the player in the conversation. Markeith, there is a mentality that you guys understand that maybe we mere mortals can't fully understand. When you hear Haliburton lying in a hospital bed saying that he's unable to feel his foot, saying he would do it again if given the chance, what goes through your mind?
What goes through my mind first is, right, is just taking back the journey of being a little kid, you know, having these moments in your head, watching these games as a kid and saying, I will be on that stage at one point in my career, right? And then actually finally getting there. And then something like the injury, the first injury happened, you have a decision to make rather, you know, this is your dream. Like, this is what we all worked so hard to get to, and now we're finally here, right? And I'm leaning on the side of him saying, like, I wouldn't change anything because I gave everything I had, right? You seen me go out with an injury, but you know that I played through something to be here, right? Just set an example for the players to come, right? Just, you know, you're at the mountaintop. You have to give everything you got, and sometimes it doesn't fall in your way, but, you know, you did what you could to get there, and that's the type of feeling that you want to have out of a player, right? And like I said, Tyrese, he gave everything he had, and, you know, as a player, that's all we really can do.
I'm going to get the football guys in on this conversation later this morning as well. I just think it's such an interesting moment of psychology there. Our next stop takes us to Indiana, where our worst fears were realized yesterday. It's not a surprise, but when you read it, it still kind of hits you. Tyrese Haliburton did suffer a torn Achilles in that moment in Game 7 of the NBA Finals on Sunday night, playing with that calf strain. The injury cutting short one of the truly remarkable individual playoff runs ever, one in which Haliburton hit a tying or winning shot in the final seconds of a game in all 4 rounds of the playoffs. And he posted this last night at around 11 o'clock on Instagram. And I really do recommend you read the entire thing. It's very emotional. It's really a beautiful statement by a player. I'll read you just this part of it. He writes, "Honestly, right now, torn Achilles and all, I don't regret it. I would do it again and again after that, to fight for this city and my brothers, for the chance to do something special. Indy, I'm sorry. If any fan base doesn't deserve this, it's y'all. But together we're going to fight like hell to get back to this very spot and get over this hurdle." That really hit me right in the gut when I read that the first time, Markeith, particularly the part where he says, I would do it again. You know, because those of us who aren't athletes, who aren't wired that way, will think, oh, look, I guess it turned out to be a mistake. Right? In the long run, it was the wrong decision to go back and play. And there's this guy lying in a hospital bed saying he can't feel his foot, saying if he was given the option, he would do it again. Markeith, explain that for those of us who could never understand it.
Well, no, as a basketball player growing up and loving the game, like, and it seemed like Tyrese Haliburton has this same love. You know, you pray to be on stages like the NBA Finals. You watch this your entire life, and to finally get here and be hampered by an injury, right? So in the mind of an athlete, especially a guy who's a true competitor, you never know when you're going to get back to the finals. So with that being said, like, you have this opportunity where it's not cut off. Like, I can actually still get out there, and being as though the success that he had in Game 6, right? I'm leaning towards Tyrese Haliburton in this one, like, because man, just being on this stage and dreaming as a young kid to get here is like, I will give up anything in the world to get here, right? And you have past athletes that's never got there that will give up MVPs to get there. You had the same situation with Kevin Durant when he hurt his calf with Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, and he had a chance to play in the finals, and he got hurt. And I believe he would be saying the same thing. I still wouldn't change anything because this is what I dreamed of as a kid. I may never get back to this spot again, so I have to, take advantage of the opportunities, injury or not. Like, this is a position he put himself in.
I actually thought about this a little bit after reading it, and it occurred to me that the alternative is not getting hurt or not getting hurt. The alternatives are getting hurt or never knowing what would have happened. That's the decision that he had to make. Sure, if you could have told him ahead of time, if you play, you're going to wind up tearing the Achilles, then no, you don't play. But that's not the option they're giving you. The option that he has in retrospect is play and have it happen, or live the rest of your life never knowing what might have happened. It's such an interesting thing, I think. Our coverage of the 2025 NBA Draft begins tomorrow night on ESPN and ABC. Should be fascinating as huge stars make their way into the NBA, hoping to someday, play in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And that brings us to our next conversation. I keep coming back to this because it's really a beautifully written post from Tyrese Haliburton. You see the photo there. You see, look at his foot, look at his leg. You know what he's been through. It was confirmed that it was a torn Achilles. And he posted this around 11 o'clock last night. I recommend you read the whole thing. But the part that really stood out to me was when he says, honestly, right now, torn Achilles and all, I don't regret it. I would do it again and again after that to fight for this city and my brothers for the chance to do something special. That to me is the most interesting part of this. And I wanted to bring all of my athletes into the conversation here this morning to talk about that. And RC, I will start with you. One of the most famous games you ever played in your career was a game in which you did not play, and you can explain to the audience why that is. But when you hear a guy lying in a hospital bed saying he can't feel his foot, saying, if given the choice, I would absolutely do it again, what thought goes through your mind?
I think it's just the beauty of sports. Tyrese Haliburton showed us what sort of man he was throughout these playoffs. It wasn't just the big shots, but it was the toughness. It was the sacrifice. It was the understanding that we had sort of seen this before with KD in the finals, and that this was a possibility, and it didn't matter because his team was more important than his Achilles, and winning a championship was more important. After I got sick in 2007 and I had my surgery because of, altitude sickness and sickle cell crisis in Denver, I begged Coach Tomlin to play in that playoff game. I assembled a team of doctors and I was convincing Coach Tomlin that if something happened to me, that if I got sick, that if it happened again, that this team of doctors could save my life. And I felt like if I played or if I got in a position where something was wrong with me, they could help me, but that we'd win the game. And at the end of that game, when I'm watching Demaryius Thomas run down the football field in a spot that I knew that I should have been in, I was crushed. Because the worst thing about sports is not knowing. That's the reason we love the scoreboard. Because at the end of the week or the end of the game, we get to see how well we've done. And for Tyrese Haliburton, I'm 100% sure that torn Achilles is better than him not knowing. It's better than him not showing up. It's better than him not giving himself and his team an opportunity to win a championship. He can sit and rehab that all day and understand that in his conscience, he knew he did everything he possibly could to bring a championship to Indiana. If they lose game 6 or game 7 because he doesn't play, he never lives with it. It never goes away. It never sits right with him. Salute to Tyrese Haliburton and salute to him for sending that message so people understand how important these games are to these men.
Really well said. Dominique, what do you think of all this?
No, I think it's just a reminder. It's like a wake-up call to all of us former athletes and all of us in media and fans and everyone that it matters to them way more than it does to us. When we talk about these topics and about how things are going to impact players and how important this game is, and is somebody clutch? Do they have heart? They got dog? Like they all do. And it's a reminder that anyone who is out there, they care so much more than any of us do. And understand that Tyrese Haliburton, I mean, that what you read, it jumps out as really powerful, but it's nothing new to anybody who's been on the court or anyone who's been on the field. You know that you feel that. And to RC's point, the thing that hurts more than anything is definitely regret from not being out there. But I know RC can, and I'm sure Keith can, and all of us can think of times when we wish we had done something different on the playing field or on the court to get an outcome that we would have liked to have.
Yeah.
The idea that the thing different that you would have wanted to do was just play, like to your point, Greeny, the idea that he would have to live with the regret of deciding to protect his calf or Achilles and not be out there, it makes sense to all of us, and I assume it makes sense to anyone who's watching it. You get that putting yourself out there is more important than preserving yourself at that moment.
Markeith, jump in here. I'm interested to hear a basketball player's perspective on this.
Yeah, and these guys said it best. But first, let me say this to RC. With you or with you not on that field, RC, y'all was not supposed to let Tim Tebow throw an 80-yard slant out.
No.
What was going on? That's first and foremost.
That is not. That's not where we were planning for that to go. It's well said. It is a famous game in so many different ways, but it is. Yes, this is.
Go again. Thank you.
It's the most famous play of Tim Tebow's professional career, as it wins a playoff game at the very end. But if we can, and that's well played, Markeith, I'll give you credit. But if we could circle it back then again to him, like what message does he send to everyone by saying, "Man, I would do it again if he gave me the choice to do it again"?
I mean, as athletes, right? You have the people, the normal common people that go to work from your 8 to 4. As athletes, these are the games that we are prepared for our entire life. These are the games that we watched our heroes play in and hoped and prayed one day that we can be in that same spot, right? And honestly, as an athlete, it would hurt more for me not to have played than to actually played in the game and been injured, because I gave what I had, knowing the circumstances, knowing what level this was on, knowing the impact this would have had on my career. I would feel more hurt of not playing than to actually getting injured, given everything that I had.
Wendy, these guys all speak that language, and it is a sort of a feeling sometimes I'm not sure everyone can understand. What are your thoughts here, Winman?
Well, I've paid a lot of attention to what these guys have said and what other players have said, either in social media or things over the last day and a half. And I think that if there was another vote taken today, you would see the players and his peers in the league not think that Tyrese was overrated, but instead he would have won them over with enormous respect from the way he played throughout this postseason and the way what he did going on the line and trying to do something that would have been immortal, and instead suffering this terrible injury.
Yeah, no, it's really well said, and it's a perfect point to punctuate it. I don't know Tyrese Haliburton at all. I'm sure what I think of him couldn't mean any less to him. But I couldn't respect anybody more than I respect that guy for the way he handled this situation. And again, I recommend you read the entire post, because it is filled with sort of really honest, raw emotion that we don't always get to hear from athletes, particularly in this day and age. But I think it is very much worth your time. Anyway, we'll leave that there for the moment.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support. and hope to see you on the next video.